Hey YouTube, welcome back to another edition of Questionable Methods. I'm your host, Ryan, and today we're working on the QMX some more. Alright folks, last time if you hadn't seen it, we did some Q&A on the bikes. We talked about the batteries, we talked about the hubs, we talked about the brakes, and today we're actually going to work on the brakes. So make sure you subscribe and stay tuned because we're going to continue to work on this build and it's going to be great. Now, if you haven't already seen some of our videos, you should go and check them out. I was out riding this thing, doing hot laps, cruising around, drifting in the snow, running down the street, flying past cars, all the good stuff. If you like sketchy builds and you like what we do here, don't forget to subscribe because that really helps us out. We're a new channel and we're looking to continue to do this. And the only way we can do that is with your help. Alright YouTube, this is what we're going to be working on. So today I have to disassemble part of the front end and remove the wheels, the steering tie rods, and part of the control arms. Now I was hoping to potentially redo the control arms. I like the way they are, but I feel like we could probably get some more travel out of them if I make them a little longer. What I also want to do is make them the overall front end a little bit shorter so that it matches the back end. Right now the front end is wider than the back, and that's for stability, but at the same time that makes it harder for trails and fitting it into my vehicle. And any good bike, you got to be able to take it with you, and I don't want to have to carry a trailer or put it on the outside of my vehicle, because if I stop and I'm traveling, it's very hard to get it into a hotel room or to have to take it apart and then put it back together every time I want to ride. So the better situation is to shrink it up a little bit, make it more compact, and make it so it fits in the vehicle without any problems. Alright, YouTube, this is where it's getting a little tricky. I didn't leave myself much room to lock this bolt on or to get it off. So we may want to redesign that when we rebuild this. As you build things and fabricate as you go, these are some of the things you run into. There's always a better way. There we have it. That did it. Now we have our part.
Sketchy.
Alright, YouTube, now that we have our part off, we can look at this in more detailed. So here we add this extension to get rid of bump steer, which we were having a problem with in the beginning. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and go back to our videos and check that one out. Make sure you subscribe so when we do more updates, you can see what's going on. But as it is right now, what we're going to want to do is adjust this clearance in here and create this gap so that the wheel sits out a little bit more to fit that brake and caliper assembly. Let me go ahead and get one of those so I can show that to you. Alright, here's what I'm talking about. Here's a tire e-brake assembly. Has your cable for the sensor, basically so when you press the brakes it stops the motor. And then here is our caliper and bracket assembly, and this is the spacing that I was talking about. So in order for this to fit, it needs to go on the inside like this. And right now the spacing between here and here is about the same, but that doesn't leave room for the brake pads and everything else that's got to fit in there. And so we have to space that out, basically the distance of this, to accommodate for all that, for it to mount right there. And then of course I need a different bracket because I'm running 180s in the front, and this is set up for 160, 140, and I need a 180, so I'm going to have to change this bracket out so it stands off a little bit further on that assembly, like so, and we can fit all of our brakes in there. Now as you can see, this is welded all the way around, relatively thin tubing, which makes this cutting this little spindle in here off very difficult. Now I can unscrew this and remove this outer spindle, which the wheel sits on, but there's still an inner spacing in there that I'm not going to be able to cut out very well or very easily without damaging both the steering or that inner spacer. So I may just have to make a whole new one of these in order to do that. Now if I'm going to make a whole new one, I may want to change how this is pivoting. Right now the whole assembly kind of rotates around these two center points. I also want the spacing here, I may want to bring it down here, and that way I can lop off some of this top piece and extend my A-arm out further down, which will give me more travel, because there'll be longer A-arms, up and down. So today we're not going to do that. Today we're just taking this apart. I wanted to demonstrate what was needing to be done here. Basically, I got to take off the other side. I got to work on getting these pieces made and then re-welded. I don't know if I'm going to even be able to save this plate or this top piece. If I maybe be able to cut this off and grind that, I may be able to save these. Otherwise, I may just have to make new ones of those as well. So make sure you subscribe and stay tuned. If you like sketchy ideas or sketchy parts like this, let us know. Make sure you're subscribed so that way when we do more dumb stuff, you're there to watch it. And until next time, peace.